Innovators Corner, and we'll be discussing about IP portfolio today. Welcome, Shalini. How are you doing today?
Hi, Priggya. I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. I know there was a technical glitch, so we started 2 minutes late. But
There
I,
is. I have three devices sitting in front of me, and none of them are willing to work at the right time.
yeah, it happens. No problem. We know how to live with that.
Yes.
Yes,
So, what do we
Shalini.
have for today evening?
So today we are discussing about IP portfolio, which is your genre and your thing. So we will start with opening remarks on IP portfolio from you.
Okay. So, here there are some very interesting things. I'm going to start with what comes to mind when we say the word portfolio.
Yeah.
Uh, I think artists who have huge files, folders with lots of amazing drawings in them, or architecture students who have a lot of plans, architectural plans. A patent portfolio or an IP portfolio doesn't look as glamorous, but I think it ends up having a net worth or net value. uh, I cannot compare it to an artwork, but it has immense value depending on what IP is there inside the portfolio. The other thing is that even though we are innovators corner, I want to draw the attention to the fact that we have we can have different kinds in that portfolio. It doesn't have to be restricted to patents. And the third point is that it's very dynamic in nature, that portfolio. It's not a physical steady file that you're looking at, but it's constantly changing back and forth depending on what you're doing, how quickly you're innovating, how quickly you're expanding, and so on. So I am curious to know, curious to see if we have questions here today because what happens, and you'll have to shut me up at some point because I will never.
Yeah.
What happens is that long term, how should we go about developing an IP portfolio? So I think that is something we, and
Correct.
then
So
management
Shalini,
is a small bit of it. So your thoughts?
yeah, perfect. So I also feel that building an IP portfolio is something which people are interested in knowing and how to build an IP portfolio. Like if I'm a new company, I want to build my IP, I want to develop IP and probably value IP. So how do I begin? So I get a lot of queries around how do I begin, and I always start with begin by discovering IP in your product
Yes.
in in your organization. What could be IP? So I think it begins with discovering IP first. So one of the important thing which I regularly tell people to do is let's get on a call and start discovering what kinds of IP you can hold or you are holding, which you might not know that you are holding. And let's start with that. Make a list of the things which can already be a part of IP portfolio, and then figure out how to, then figure out the strategies of protecting, securing, and
Right.
enforcing IP.
Right. So I think like you rightly said, we have to start with making a list. And I always tell my clients, take a paper and pen. There is nothing wrong with making a traditional list. And that, it also gives you clarity on what you want to keep and what you want to throw away. If you keep pursuing something, and a lot of times I see in filed innovations, they filed a particular field, but then they have moved on to something else, and then they still have
Yes.
these old patents and don't know what to do with them. So I always say that make a list first, and then we'll see how it. So okay, now I've made a list, and my list has trademark and one copyright and five patents. So would that be a portfolio?
Yeah, I think anything more than one is a portfolio. Like if you're making a list and securing IP at one place, it forms a part of a portfolio. Tell me if I'm wrong. I'm not too sure about it.
No, 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 you are 100% right. That was a trick question. My next question is this: how do I can I okay, one is I already have IP and I'm making a list and I realize I have a portfolio and I know it has been managed by my legal team or whatever. My next question is, if I am who's starting out, how do I go about my portfolio? Is there a
So
strategy for it?
yeah, so yeah, definitely. So I always try to see, even if you are an inventor, you must be doing business in some name. So you already have a trademark if you have a business name,
Right,
and you already have a copyright if you are developing any content, a book, a website, anything, any
right,
creative thing, you have a copyright. So even smallest aspect, even a startup owner or an inventor holds a IP portfolio. He might not be aware of the things he is holding, because people are not aware that business name could be IP, or
right,
material that is developed can be a copyright. So patent is one part of it, and I think that is a slow and gradual process where we look at what can be patented, what cannot be patented, what can be protected as a trade
right.
secret, what can be protected as a know-how. So I think all these questions are something which we need to answer before uh, building a patent portfolio at large. And what are your thoughts on it?
I think the way, yeah, I think if I am an innovator and I don't have a business or a brand name or anything, right? I just have the ideas in my a prototype that I'm going to get an apply for a patent for. So I usually tell them that start looking. And sometimes people just want to innovate, but they don't know which field. So first, make a
Yeah.
list of your strengths, make a list of your skills, make a list of what is happening in that area, because sometimes that area is already saturated and you think that just because you don't know about a particular innovation, you think, I'm the first person. But I always say start doing a search. So a preliminary search, then maybe a little more in-depth search, not just a prior art, but a landscape thing where you see where are the gaps in technology and where you could possibly innovate. And then you can perhaps secure one or two or three patents and their improvements and patents of addition in that. And so you have a nice cluster in that technology, in that gap, right? And then you have made your space. So then that would be a nice portfolio that can be leveraged very well, because then you have like a bouquet of patents. You can tell
Shalini,
like patents.
one question. Hi, Abhinav. Let's say hi to Abhinav. Abhinav is saying hi, Shalini. I
Hi,
forget. Thank
Abhinav.
you for attending our Innovators Corner every week. So, Shalini, one question here that always comes up is, uh, we know that white space analysis is required, and finding those gaps and addressing those gaps is required. But sometimes when early stage startups come, not the big company, they have the potential to invest and think about analyzing the spaces and capturing that domain. But when a startup comes, they'll say they do not have funds for, because white space analysis in itself is a bit costly.
Yes.
So they'll say that we do not have funds in that area. So do you suggest they directly start with the patentability search, or do they still have to figure out gaps before addressing the patentability search?
That's a tricky one. Uh, no, I understand that some of the patent analysis can be quite cost inhibitive. But maybe they could do so at least they'll know who their competitors are, right? So maybe just go and see what their competitors are doing. A lot of competitors put their stuff out on their website. At least they'll have, and if they are innovators who have a good network, the PhD community, postdoc community is always chatting among themselves. So maybe there is some kind of back channel where they have, some rumors that pop up that so and so is doing this work in so and so space and so on. So I think that there are alternatives. They are not robust and they are not for foolproof, but there are uh, cheaper alternatives to white space search.
And I think general search, like not a very specific search, but general search. I think we should tell this to people that there is a website called patents.google.com, and you can just go and explore that website to the fullest extent. You'll have some idea of what is happening in that technology
Yes,
domain, what kind of patents are filed, and that is very very simple and easy to use.
yes, yes. And I think there was a question on our LinkedIn page by Tom. Do you have access to the question?
Yes, yes, yes. So Abhinav says there may be only one in 100 company who perform white space analysis. Most company have a myth that they know their tech space well. Yeah, so that is what we were discussing since past 10 minutes. And you're absolutely correct. Most of the inventors and the company who come to us and approach us are in this myth that they know that tech space well. But knowing a tech space from the perspective of technology and from the perspective of patents are two completely different things. Am I right?
Right. Yes, because you will know how well you actually know your tech space when your patent comes up for a hearing and you're facing the office action.
Yeah. So sometimes we take inventors also in hearing along with us.
Yeah, I do actually. You don't?
Yeah, yeah, we do because
Yeah.
it's easier. I think the examiner is also a bit lenient when the inventors themselves come with, and they also know what their attorney actually, you know,
Yeah,
actually
it's doing.
during the hearing. So
Yeah.
even if we lose that case, that is okay because inventor is sitting right next to us
Yes,
and he knows
correct.
what were the concerns in the
Right,
application. So
right.
we would definitely prefer inventors coming with us in hearing.
So I don't know where that question is by Dr. Tom Murphy.
So I can't see a question. I can
It's
see
on
yours.
either on your LinkedIn post or my LinkedIn post. Something about strategic partnership, but I was so busy with this technology
Okay,
craziness that is happening at my place.
then we can discuss something else till
Yeah,
then.
sure. So, what would? Why does it get complicated? Why is this such an exotic subject?
Patent portfolio.
Hmm. It's like a buzzword. Everyone's like, "Oh, patent portfolio, patent portfolio." Actually, it's a bunch of
Yeah.
patents in not a physical box, but in a digital in your computer, and you are maintaining it, and you are protecting it from infringement, and you are making sure you are not infringing on anyone. Sort of, you're making sure that that nothing is happening to that property of yours and that property is not attacking someone else, and also also which one is enforced and which one is not enforced. So I think, am I simplifying it too much?
I think no, is it? It is not about simplifying too much. I think we need to break this myth and tell people that it is not too as difficult as it seems. I think people get scared from the terms like patent, patent portfolio, patent management, patent commercialization, patent valuation, patent fencing, patent rules. When we were in first year of our college, other people would come and ask what is a patent role, and we'll get scared. Oh my god, is this some new technology? Is patent patent evergreen in such technology? These are some basic terminologies that are used, and if we look at basics, like complete basics, it will always drop down to something very very easy. You can have 100 patents, you can have 1,000 patents in an IP portfolio, you can also have five, but it will begin with one filing of the first patent application or first trademark application or first copyright application, or for bigger companies,
Oh,
the audit.
yes. Now my next question is everything that is in a portfolio, is everything valuable?
Is everything valuable? I think to an extent, showing that what IP you hold has a value, especially because I have a different take on this, which is not a very regular take. I have a take on this that 30 years ago, 40 years ago, our grandparents used to hold property, the physical property, and that had value, and that had tremendous value. Now we are in the era where we hold digital properties. If you go to metaverse, you hold a digital property which is a
Hmm.
replica of real property. If you're not living in metaverse, in normal world also, if you have an email ID, you access LinkedIn, you access any social media, you create digital property. I cannot say for to give you an example, Shalini, if I have a YouTube video, I cannot say 5 years down the line what would be the value of that YouTube video. It's very, very difficult to analyze. So I think all IP assets can have some value. They might not have a value in the present, maybe in the future, or maybe they have just lost the value and they are of no use, so that can be eliminated from the part of valuation. But if you are holding an asset, you should always include that in the IP portfolio.
Okay.
What do you
Yeah,
think?
well, okay, my view is going to differ slightly from you here. Yes, everything that you own digitally or your IP related will be part of that portfolio as long as it is enforced. But I think we should be a little more objective about the way we look at patents and not be like a doting parent that says yes, this is my child so I love it anyway, but look at it from the perspective of actually if it is contributing to the growth of your company or if it is just dead weight where you're paying maintenance and really there are 10 other things like it
Yeah.
in the market and you're not going to ever be able to monetize it or commercialize it.
Yeah, that I agree. That I to completely agree that filing patents for the purpose of correcting certificates is of no use unless you commercialize them, enforce
So
them.
I finally located the question by Tom,
Yes.
which says, "Hello, Priggya and Shalini. Are you going to talk about strategic partnering with others to extend your IP commercialization potential?"
I think we should take
So
that
see,
topic lately. we
we
can
should
we
take
can
that up, no? So yes, I don't think we're going to talk about strategic partnering today, but that is definitely something we should explore because that
yeah.
is that is the need of the hour. Because
And
you cannot, pardon?
I think it's important too.
It's important, yes, and I think you cannot create a patent or any kind of IP except copyright perhaps and sit in a vacuum with it. You have to partner with someone in order to bring it out into the world because you alone cannot be the inventor and the applicant and the R&D and the marketing and everything and the valuation expert and everything. You cannot be all in one, right? So you are going to have strategic partnerships, which is actually something that Patented Network is doing
Yeah,
with
and we
inventors.
greatly
So we
in.
should talk about that in one session.
Yeah. So Abhinav is saying, I think it is the portfolio that is valuable, not the individual patent. So both contribute to the valuation of portfolio. But I would differ with this. Maybe you have 100 patent applications in your IP portfolio and only one is going to reap you a lot of money. That could be a situation, right, Shalini?
Yes, absolutely. And there are situations, when there is a merger and acquisition happening or any kind of takeover, they of course take all the IP, but it's not all valued together. I mean, it's more like buy one, get to free or something like that, because a lot of patents file to block others from filing, and they are not worth something. They're not worth a large amount, or they're not worth a valuation in and of themselves, but more like to create a fence, a protective fence around one main patent. So
Correct.
in that case, when you are paying for it, you're paying five, even though you're saying you're paying for five patents, it's actually you're paying for that one patent. And then the others are just kind of,
Yeah, along with them, they are important because they would be in the similar domain and probably helping that patent application more. But money
yeah,
wise, I
by
think
and of themselves, I don't think they would contribute much.
correct, correct, correct. So Abhinav is saying, let's say a company is just patenting a lot of whatever they feel is important. They don't maintain a portfolio as such. What steps one can take to restructure patenting into portfolios? I think as we started with this topic, first and foremost thing is to maintain a list. See all the patents are in which state. For every application, we need to figure out whether it is in publication state, expired state, granted state, whether the applications are live or they have been died. So we'll have to start with that and then see what is of value, what is of no value, and then figure out if we want to patent. We are patenting on the right track or not. Like we are not filing
Mhm.
whatever we feel it is important. We
Yeah,
are
so whether we are growing in line with our vision and mission of the company rather than ad hoc filing. But to go back to the question, I think if a company is filing left, right, and center, they will have one legal person who is maintaining this.
yeah.
They have to. But I have also seen portfolios come from some other companies where fees have not been paid and maintenance for trademarks. There have been takeovers, but the stamp duty has not been paid, and post
Actually,
registration changes have not been brought on to record, and so on. So very shoddy management.
actually, Shalini, what happens or what I have seen is, especially in traditional businesses, people get transferred from one company to another. So new joinees come up, older ones are gone. So it's sometimes a situation comes that they do not know what IP a company has already filed because that people are not available and reachable. I think that
Right.
is why you know that our form one it also has a separate thing called if that person is not trackable. For example, if the inventor is not trackable, we can
Yeah.
do a declaration that the employee was present in the company at that time. So I think because of that thing only we have this provision in our law, and similar is the case. Maybe an IP manager leaves the job and they never pick phone call of the
Yeah, but there's some kind of handover, something, there has to be some system in place.
yeah it
I'm saying
happens.
that it may not happen, but it should be in an ideal world.
Yeah, we don't live in an ideal world. I know company has gone through these and they approach us and they're like, oh my God, we'll have to search and find whatever applications we have filed.
Yeah, I have someone who messaged me the other day and said, I don't know how many trademarks I have, and I don't know what they are, but I needed to find them all for me. And I
Yeah,
haven't done the filing, okay? If I have done the filing, I maintain a sheet and with the status and the date of filing and what the mark, everything, right? But these are my trademarks. So
yeah,
I was like, okay, you're asking me to look. So I don't know which classes either.
yeah, I know.
So
We
it
have
was
a
like
question.
searching for a needle in a. And there's another question.
Yeah, there is another question. Today's world, what governs the NPD? The customers do through design thinking or white space analysis, which ignores the customer and focuses on the on product. What is NPD, Shalini?
NPD. What's NPD?
Yeah, sorry, Abhinav, we are not able to understand the question. Can you simplify it for us? I think he wants to know about design thinking and white space analysis. Like, do people actually follow that? I think design thinking is the need of the hour, and people are actually following that.
So
Though
there's something development, something development.
he will tell us. So the thing is, yeah, design thinking is important, but it cannot be equated to white space analysis. Like, as I told you, technology world and patent world are two different things. You cannot merge them together. You don't know, yeah, new product development. So even if a new product is developed, white space analysis is a completely different thing.
Right,
Patentability search is completely different thing, and design thinking is completely different thing. Design
right.
thinking gives us an approach that how a new product could be developed, but it is not a surety that what you have developed is a new product.
Right. Plus, design, the threshold for examination is also much lower because you're looking more at the aesthetic features, and
Yeah.
uh, two similar kind of aesthetic features may both get design protection, but when you go into the patenting world, it's a different scenario altogether.
And I think design thinking covers both approaches. It covers the patentability side of it as well, and design aspects of, because through design thinking I've seen people developing small products, highly valuable, and IP wise not falling under the criteria of patents but falling under the category of design. So yeah, that is good. Good.
Yeah, that is good. And of course, there are people who are doing amazing things with design. And but I don't know, somehow I feel design gets shortchanged in our country. But we need to start looking at design as a part of, meaning giving designs the same status that we give utility things.
Yeah.
So call it design patents and have it as a part of when you're filing for one file for the other automatically.
I think people are not aware of design filing and they do not file, but it has a huge potential. I've seen, a product as small as solar light with a different aesthetics can be subject matter of a design. I have filed
Yes,
a few designs, for example, star shaped lights, lights which are used in our roads. So I think those kind of products, it protects you at least from infringement. No, people are able to see and weigh that, oh, aesthetic wise they are similar. So you are doing a design infringement. So it's easy. It's not as costly as
right,
a utility. And so people should
right.
focus. Whoever is developing in that field, they should focus on filing
Yes.
design applications too.
Yes. So I work with a couple of design graduates, and I call them graduates, but they have several years of experience, and they're very talented designers.
Yeah.
And and they keep coming in talking about utility patents, but I always encourage them to explore the design side of it because utility wise we may not be able to get it fast, but I always say that look, there is great potential because these are amazing designs. So let's look for design registration. That way, your commitment time is also shorter and the amount of investment is also shorter. And we want more aesthetically pleasing objects around us.
Yeah, definitely. I think I love filing design applications. I don't know why, but I tell people that if you cannot file a utility patent, take leverage of some IP that you can file.
Right.
So
Yes.
I think Shalini, it's time. And any last words to wind up? Okay, so yeah, Abhinav, we understood that design thinking, not design. That's why first part of the answer was related to design thinking and comparison of white space analysis. So he says, I'm talking about design thinking, not design. My question is, what is more important in today's world? See, uh, focus on what customer wants or white space analysis. on product. See, as I told you, these are two completely different things. So design thinking helps in creation of products, in thinking and developing the product. But the product you have developed after going through the process of design thinking does not give you a guarantee that your product is unique and patentable. So if you need to find that it is patentable, or if you need to see the patent side of this, then white space analysis and patentability search is important, because they are two separate processes and cannot be combined together. While white space analysis will just give you gaps, but then after finding of that gaps, you can use the design thinking approach to develop a product. So that is my take. Shalini, do you want to add something on this?
Patenting and designs are like two different conditions depending on what you want to do with it. You would not use an axe and a bulldozer for the same purpose. So depending on what you want to achieve, that you will choose that. And I think my parting words on this would be that at the end of the conversation, design is making portfolios that are enriched, because we can do amazing things. I mean, even your regular glasses. So I have a pair of sunglasses, and someone got it for me, and they're loose for me. So she also got for me little tabs that you can stick here onto the what do you call these leg arms or whatever you want to put, so that when you put it on, it grips the back of your ears. And I think that's such a cute invention, because such a cute design, because I want the sunglasses at the same time I don't want it to fall off my face. So I think we overlook design, but I think we should now talk to investors about more about design. Right.
Oh. So Abhinav says, last question: what are three or four most important things to take care when building IP portfolio? Shalini, your three or four points.
For me, three or four things. I'll be design portfolio, regular portfolio.
Regular portfolio, building IP portfolio.
Regular portfolio. Okay. It is diverse, that it has all kinds of IP. That's one. Because, whatever industry, one part goes bust, you can still monetize the other. The second thing I would say is, if you want to make it patent rich, then get a whole collection of interconnected or interdependent patents rather than patents that are from very varied part technology. Because then if you have a whole bouquet that is connected together, then again monetizing it or commercializing it becomes simpler and more feasible.
Yeah. So according to me, first is know, make a list, know what you already have, and then see what is your destination and how do you want to reach to that destination. For example, as Shalini said that, filing know your technology, file patent application in multiple patent applications in a single technology. It will help you during mergers and acquisitions. It will help you during IP commercialization, and I think that is the crux of the matter. Like, if you're a startup, if you're a company, you'll be working in some particular technology. So file as many IP as possible in a particular technology, and that will give you a big maybe big gap from other companies. So that is, I think, Abhinav says Shalini's voice was breaking a lot. Priggya, can you repeat? I think these are the points which Shalini also covered. So first is know your IP. Don't only limit yourself to patents. Focus on other IP as well, patent, trademarks, copyrights, designs. Uh, and the second one is focus it on a technology area. And the more you focus it on a technology area, it would be easy to commercialize it. So I think that's all for today. So we'll connect back again next Tuesday. Do join us, and it was a fun session. Thank you, Abhinav, for all your queries, and thank you, Dr. Tom, for your query too. Thank you for joining. Bye bye. Take care.